Good day to my fellow audience. I'm Hemawathy Nadarajan from PDPP KDC TSL Renda. So today I'm here to do a presentation for the subject TSLB2102R, Developing Language Through Language Arts. So for today's presentation, I'm going to present about the design learning activities and materials that I have created in Task 1, right? So this presentation mainly about unleashing creativity, teaching the world of AI in the language arts classroom, right? Okay, first of all, thank you for joining me for this interesting presentation. And today I'm super excited to share a lesson that creatively integrates poetry, technology, and values based learning. It is titled The World of AI, right? So, and it is designed for year 6 peoples as part of their English language arts classroom, right? Curriculum. So this lesson actually is not about just poetry. This lesson is also about experiencing poetry in a new and meaningful way, right? So the aim is to build both um, receptive and productive language skills while promoting critical thinking, empathy, and creativity, right? So we shall go in depth for our presentation today on the next slide. Now, let's get started with the core objective of the lesson. Yeah, right. So, by the end of this lesson, pupils will be able to identify and interpret poetic devices such as rhymes and personification through a listening activity. And this one goes under the receptive skills, and pupils also will be able to compose a four-line stanza reflecting their understanding of AI and human values, and this goes under the productive skills. So we have the content standard here. We have 1.2 for listening. We have 1.2 understanding meaning in a variety of familiar contexts, and then we have 4.3 for writing. Communicate with appropriate language forms and styles for a range of purposes in written form. And we have 5.3 express personal response to literary text, right? So for the learning standard, we have based on year 6 scheme of work, English language CEFR A2 level. For receptive skills, we have 1.2.1, understanding the main idea and some supporting details in longer and simple text on familiar topics. For the productive skill, we have 4.3.1, which is form sentences with guidance using familiar words and phrases. 4.3.3, produce a plan or draft and modify it into a response to feedback. And for language and art strength, we have 5.3.1, which is respond imaginatively and intelligibly through creating simple literary pieces, right? So we shall go in depth for our presentation. The next slide. So now moving to the next slide, let's walk through the receptive skill part step by step. Yeah. So here I choose the presentation part phase, listening activity, AI detectives, right? The title. So now for the part of justification, the listening activity in which student will become the AI detectives. They develop this auditory comprehension, poetic appreciation, and critical thinking by focusing on tone, rhyme, and meaning in the poem, right? So we have this digital material and non-digital material. Now let's look at the digital material first. Okay, for digital material, we have audio recording of the world of AI. Okay, for this part, as a teacher, I have recorded this audio using the TikTok AI voice changer application. So this is somehow a teacher made through AI narrated poem, right? Actually, so now next we have digital transcript of the poem, okay, which will be projected through LCD or embedded in a slide, right? Next, we have these optional tools, which is Padlet and Google Docs for collaborative annotations, highlights, and comments. Right after, for the non-digital material, we have this printed transcript of the poem. We have listening worksheets, Appendix A. It is attached in the Appendix A. It includes pre-listening vocabulary, rhymes and personification, identification, and comprehension questions. Right. Let's move to our next slide. Now let's us take a look on the instructions and step-by-step procedure for the receptive skill part, right? Okay, for this part, for the step one, we have this pre-listening part. Yeah, so I actually begin by setting the context. For example, we have like today we are listening to a poem that talks about artificial intelligence. What do you think of AI is capable of? So we then actually we brainstorm, then we focus on students on three listening targets. The first one is the rhyming pairs, personification, and the overall message or mood, right? So I also actually pre-teach three key vocabulary words: predicting, logic, and pride using visuals, right? So why this actually matters? Okay, right. So actually it activates the background knowledge and lowers barriers to understanding, right? So, and then next we have this part two. Okay, first listening is for the enjoyment part, right? So initially I will play an audio recording of the poem, right? Student will need to simply just listen to the audio, and then afterwards I'll be asking like how does the poem make you feel? What do you think it is saying about AI, right? So actually for this part, uh, actually it allows people to emotionally connect to the text, right? So we develop students emotional connection. It helps build a general understanding before analysis, and also actually it encourages readers responses and builds engagement, right? So a no pressure first listening builds literary appreciation and supports uh, listening fluency, right? Emotional reflection deepens comprehension as a key component to language arts and literature, right? Okay, now let's take a look at the next step. Now, let's take a look at this step three, which is second listening. This one is more to active engagement. Okay, so we have the expanded instruction here. So, the first part we will distribute the printed transcript to the students, and also show the poem on screen, right? And next, we will play the poem for the second time, and meanwhile, while listening, the peoples will underline the rhyming part. For example, tune, soon, soul, or goal. And then they also will circle lines with personification. For example, it talks to us, right? And then after each stanza, it will be paused and asked, what is AI doing in this part, right? And then next we will have like, do you hear any rhyme, or what's the mood of the poem? So this kind of questions will be imposed to the pupils, and as an option, students can post their favorite line and interpretations on the Padlet platform, right? So the relevance of this part actually is that it actually encourages close reading and also analytical listening, right? So in this context, it also highlights specific literary devices elements. For example, rhymes, figurative language, personifications, and it also enhances text to self connections through discussion, right? So the justification of this part actually is The step actually supports deep learning pedagogy, in which it guides the peoples to actually analyze and annotate while listening, you know. So actually it fosters their critical thinking, and also aligns with the language arts strengths, which is 5.3.1, and listening standard, which is 1.2.1. Now let's take a look on the fourth step of receptive skills, right? So this one here, we have this comprehension and discussion part, right? So the instruction here is, first we will hand out the listening comprehension worksheet, which is appendix A. And students will need to answer 4 to 5 comprehension questions. For example, we have questions like, uh, what does the poem says about AI can do, what AI cannot do, not do, and what poetic devices were used, what types, what is the poem's message, and so on. This kind of questions will be constructed, and students have to answer this part of the questions. Okay, so here they will need to use the think, pair, share strategy. So for example, when it comes to think, they have to answer independently on their own. And then for the context of pair, they will need to work with their partner. They need to discuss with their partner to come up with an answer. And for the share partner, they will have this volunteerism concept. So people will come and volunteer themselves to share their answers or insights with the whole class, actually, right? So the relevance of this part actually, it reinforces the comprehension of the learning, and also it also consolidates the learning as well. So not only that, actually it promotes what do we call collaborative thinking, and also peer feedback. And actually indirectly it actually allows the teacher to check the understanding informally. Okay, right. So for the justification of this step, actually comprehension tasks actually encourages textual recall, right? Actually interpretations and analysis, right? So it aligns with the CFR A2 goals, right? Think, pair, share. It supports communications, and also uh, social emotional learning, and making it ideal for an inclusive classroom, right? So now let's move to our next slide to check on in depth on what's going on next. Okay, now we have this part in which we will see the overall relevance to curriculum goals, right? Okay, the first one, we have to take a look at the English year 6 scheme of work, SOW alignment. So actually this lesson aligns with the content standard 1.2, which is understanding meaning in various familiar contexts. And then next we have it fulfills the learning standard 1.2.1, in which actually the people identify the main ideas and supporting details from a simple poem. And the third one, we have integrated language arts standards 5.3.1, in which this lesson encourages imaginative and critical response to poetry, right? The second one, we have CFR A2 level compatibility. So in this context, people actually listen to short, clear spoken text on a familiar topic. They identify specific details and understand the literal and implied meaning of the content, right? And next, we have this supports to the development of basic interpretive listening skills using literary content. And the third one, we have this literature and CCL module integration. So for this part, we this lesson actually promotes appreciation of contemporary literature, which is poetry with a modern AI theme. And then it encourages students character building, empathy, and reflection on ethical technology usage. And then it also addresses the CCL big idea of personal development through literature, right? And then the fourth one, we have this 21st century skills and development. So here, talking about critical thinking, we interpreting meaning and poetic devices. For communication, we have sharing ideas through think, pair, share, and group discussion. And digital literacy, we have this optional integration of Padlet to post interpretations or reflections. And we have this collaboration in which they have this peer feedback context in which discussing questions with peers fosters active learning and engagement, right? So we will move to the next session. um, we will see on what we have on the next slide. Okay, now we have moved to a new part, which is the productive skill part. Okay, for this production phrase, we incorporated the writing skills, right? So for the writing task, we have creative extensions. So actually, this stage allows the pupils to synthesize and personalize what they have learned about poetic form and the concept of AI, right? So by writing their own stanzas, they actually exercise creativity. Okay, they reinforce their understanding of the figurative language and develop their writing expressions. Okay, so actually this part it aligns with the CFRA2 descriptors, which is producing short, simple, creative text, and SOW context standard 4.3 communicate with appropriate form and style in writing, right? So actually it also supports personal development, one of the core goals of the CCL module, encouraging character buildings through teams, right? So here we have this digital options. The first part, we have the digital options. We use um, Padlet to post students created stanzas, right? And then from here student actually may add emojis and AI themed images, or even voice notes to for the purpose of added engagement, right? And then next we have these non-digital options in which actually we use poetry writing scaffold worksheet, which actually includes the line prompts, rhyme bank, personifications examples, and also space for rough draft and final copy. Now let's take a deep look on the next slide on the steps, instructions, and step-by-step procedure of this part. Yeah. um, Productive skills, we have this instruction and step-by-step procedure. Now let's take a look at the first step, right? Model a sample stanza. So the instruction is the teacher will display or writes a four-line stanza on the board and reads it aloud with expression, right? And for example, AI can see but cannot dream. It follows facts, not what things mean. It helps us write and paint with flair, but cannot love or truly care. So, for this part, actually, we have this model expectations. Okay, um, in this context, it shows students the desired length, structure, and also tone. Right. Next, we have this reduces writing anxiety. For example, when students are given a very clear example on what they should be doing, a clear, straightforward instructions, right? They feel more secure and also confident in writing, right? So next we have this content which is support visuals and auditory learners. So hearing and seeing the stanza actually somehow helps to enhance their understanding of the topic of the lesson. So somehow this helps to consolidate the whole learning of the students actually, right? So now we will take a look about on the second steps, right? So this one we will name it as introduce the prompt, right? So the instruction here is write or project the prompt. For example, if AI had feelings, what it what would it say to humans? So now here for this part actually we allow the peoples to think about how they would personify AI and what tone they might use. For example, is it hopeful, is it curious, is it lonely, or so on. Okay, so they will indulge, they will incorporate their emotions uh, during the learning to come up with the feedback or response, to show their understanding of the lesson being taught. Now here actually this part helps to stimulate the imaginations, right? Actually it gives a purposeful angle for creative expression for the students, right? Next we have this encourages empathy. It supports the CCARL's value based learning through emotional thinking. Next, it provides focus, helps students write meaningfully and not randomly. That means students are not going to come up with something unnecessary or irrelevant. Instead, they connect the learning to themselves and it somehow it produces a meaningful content, right? Okay, now we will go to the next slide for more in detail explanation. Okay, now moving to the next part, we have this step three, which is guided drafting. So for the digital part, we have students. We need the students to type their standards directly into Padlet, choosing a background and optionally adding emojis or images, right? And for the non-digital part, we have students. We need students to complete the poetry writing scaffold worksheet. Okay, and here they need to choose the rhyme pair from rhyme bank. They have to write ideas using sentence starters, for example AI feels, and they have to compose a final four line stanza, right? So for the justification and relevance part of this step, actually we implemented differentiated learning. Okay, actually scaffold supports all proficiency levels, right? Next we have encourages creativity with structure. So it actually balances freedom and guidance. And the next part we have develops writing skill. So actually reinforces standards construction, vocabulary use and poetic form. So for SOW we have this 4.3.1 and 4.3.3. Next we have this links to listening task, in which people are actually able to apply themes and language noticed in earlier stages, right? And now let's take a look on the final step, which is sorry, one second. Let's take a look on the final step of this content. We have step four, which is sharing and presenting. So for the digital part, each students post their stanzas on Padlet, and teacher will project it to the whole class for review purpose. So here actually optionally student will record a voice over or explain their poem in comments, right? And next we have this non-digital part, in which people actually will be volunteering themselves to read their standards aloud, and their final drafts can be displayed on a bulletin board or collected in a class AI poetry book, right? So for the justification part and the relevance for this content, actually number one, it builds confidence and communication strategies. So when sharing develops public uh, sharing actually will help aid the peoples to develop their public speaking skills, and also it will encourage pride in work, right? Second one, it celebrates voice and identity. Now when students express personal ideas and receive peer validation, this works right at the place, right? And the next one, we have this the third part is we have encourages constructive peer feedback. Okay. So, opportunity for classmates to praise creativity or poetic techniques, right? So that's all for this part. We will check on the next part. Okay, now let's take a look on the next part of this presentation. We're going to take a look at the overall relevance to the curriculum goal for the productive skill part, right? Okay, the first one we have year six scheme of work, SOW alignment. Number one, it supports listening point 1.2.1, in which understands the main ideas in simple text. Next, it meets writing standards, which is 4.3.1 and 4.3.3, which is forms and edits short written text. The third one, it fulfills language arts strength 5.3.1, in which respond creatively to literary works, right? And then the second part here, we have CFR A2 level. So in this context, people understand the main form points in familiar listening text, right? And then they'll write short, simple, creative text using basic poetic devices, right? Next, we have this CCL module integration, right? So for this part, we have this context in which actually, this lesson encourages creativity, personal reflections, and values through poetry. Right. So actually, it promotes discussion on AI and human responsibility. And the last one, we have this 21st century skills, which is build critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaborations as well. So that's all for this part, actually. So basically, to come to an conclusion of this lesson, the world of AI. Actually, this lesson bridges the gap of language arts and digital relevance. Okay, uh, I believe it actually gives people the tool to analyze, create, and reflect the essentials, not only for the purpose of what do we call the academic success. So this one also will be good to navigate the world as thoughtful and expressive individuals, right? So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to do this presentation. um, See you some other time. Thank you.